We got 2 identical sprues to build 4 seekers, and then with parts to spare, and then the 5th one with some other special stuff on it. No, wait, how many seekers? Oh no, wait, this might be for the other. I don't know. You know what? I'm just gonna stop talking and just look at the instructions. Now, what's interesting about this is we get these nice pictorial instructions. Hopefully you can find the right parts to go to the right places. Strangely and annoyingly, the sprues, the parts are numbered. I don't know if you can see, but they are numbered. But this doesn't have any numbers on it. Why bother numbering the parts on the sprue if you don't number the parts on the instructions? Sir, I find that annoying. But what are you going to do? Now I got to hunt and be like, okay, wait, is it the one with the arching neck and the downward facing tail and the spikes on it? Not the end of the world, but just annoying. Yeah, that's exactly what was my thought about. It's awesome that Sayama, I think is his name. I don't know where he's from, but the creator of the Astartes YouTube series, which is absolutely fantastic. I love it. He is now an official part of Warhammer, which yeah, is super cool. But I do wonder how much, if anything, he was actually paid, or whether it was a, hey, you're gonna work, you're gonna work for us now, or we will sue you, or we'll just slap you with a cease and desist so hard you'll never be able to do anything again. But hopefully it wasn't that. I mean, if they are actually commissioning him to do more work, then there's probably some. Maybe these aren't. Maybe these sprues were for the chariot. I don't know. I'm confused, but that's fine. But yeah, I'm excited that we're getting more stuff from him, because obviously he is an incredible artist of many talents making those videos. And we're getting a Tau animation, which is cool. I like that for that one. It's a little bit more high tech. You can see spaceships and stuff going on. So I'm all for that. Let the Tau people have some fun too. Okay, now I'm hoping that because these are sort of divided into pods on this sprue, that the parts go together. I'm not going to make assumptions, but I'm going to hope that. And it looks like... Wait, which... Ugh, that's annoying. There are a lot of these just like little fiddly bits. Like little scale parts and spine parts. And I gotta figure out which goes to which. Are these... I guess these are options? Ooh, I don't like this at all. So typically, when you have instructions, if there are alternate parts you can use, there's a little symbol for that. I'll bet you it's even in this book. That one, choice of parts. Now, I'm assuming, because in this direction right here, it has the main body, it has legs, and then it has these little frills that go up by the face. But it's only showing building with these 5 parts, but it's showing 2 sets of frills. I'm assuming this means you have the choice of frills, but why it doesn't show that little symbol to let me know what's actually going on here in this picture is a little frustrating. Just a little frustrating. Okay. So be it. Oh, the Exodite Tau thing. Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. I'm sure there's a reason. Maybe. Who knows? Okay. Reason. Yeah, there's some reason. Um, and also, it's weird that there are, in again, just in this section of the sprue, there are 3 of these little frill parts. Not 4. Man, that's weird. Everywhere else, there are 4 down here. There are 4 over here. But here there are just 3. I'm confused. Yes, this definitely chaotic instructions, but not in a good way. Oh well, we'll persevere. Persevere. Okay, so Adeptus Mechanicus. It's a whole thing. Essentially, we've got people, and they were people who they had their own. Man, where do you even start? The Adeptus Mechanicus is a really big topic in Warhammer 40k, but they were people who were all about technology, and they took their love of technology so, I mean, it's they started as people, and they took their love of technology so far that it became a religion, which is always a good thing, right? And they worshipped this being called the Omnissiah, like the god machine. And they were hanging out on Mars. And I'm skipping a lot of details, but you know, the basics. So they go hang out on Mars. They turn Mars into a forge world. And there are lots of forge worlds. It's just where like it's just massive construction and laboratories and science kind of stuff. More technology than you'll see in other places of the Imperium, but not necessarily all the best technology. It's complicated. Again, 40k is one of these sort of. You see this in a lot of science fiction where in the past there was really great technology, but we've lost a lot of it. So we're. Hold on. That piece just vanished. Okay, there it is. Some of these tiny pieces, you look at them wrong and they just vanish. Yeah. So anyway, they went to the moon, or they went to Mars rather, and they built a bunch of crap on Mars. This is, by the way, in the old times for 40k. Yes, standard sci-fi trip, and yeah, QD Prime. Yeah, so they're doing their thing on Mars. It comes time for the Emperor is getting everybody in line, saying we're gonna go out there and you know we're gonna bring all humanity back under one banner, my banner, and to do that he needs technology, right? He needs technological innovations. He needs weapons. And he's like, well, there are all these people on Mars already doing all this kind of crap. They need to work for me. So the Emperor goes to Mars and gets them to work for him. Now, how does he do this? Well, it's complicated. Some among the Adeptus Mechanicus believe that the Emperor and the Omnissiah are one and the same, or they're two parts of the same entity. It's complicated. I don't want to link it too much to real world stuff, but it's sometimes I read it as like when a Catholic tries to explain the Holy Trinity to somebody who has no concept of a Christian religion. Sort of, maybe. And then in the novels specifically, like some people will talk about the Emperor and the Omnissiah being one and the same, or not, or linked, or sorta. Yeah, I mean it's sort of, but anyway, they agree. They come on board. Right? Yeah. I mean, I'm not Christian or Catholic, so that's just sort of my outside perspective. So you can definitely let me know if I'm way off base there. But but yeah, that's how it seems to me at least. And yeah, so anyway, so they join up, and the Emperor essentially lets them stay separate, but as long as they help out and do all the technological stuff. Oh, so good. Now, they are. Yeah, no, Aridans. That's that. Yeah, hey, it's all good. Like I said, we all come to this hobby from different places. So they're focused on technology. They technically don't worship the Emperor as a god, but they have their own machine god. It's like I said, it's complicated. It's weird. They still do a bunch of totally backwards, silly things. They talk to machine spirits in all of their machines. They do incantations and incense and all that stuff. It's just a little bit more automated, but they're still doing all that kind of archaic kind of crap. They yes, and Zardos, I was just about to say that they typically and mostly, not always, but mostly they are way into cybernetics. So usually the higher up you are in the Adeptus Mechanicus, the more you will be more man than or you will be more machine than man, and often in very strange ways. You'll see creatures with heads with a whole bunch of eye lenses instead of eyes. Instead of limbs, you'll have mechadendrite tentacles and all sorts of other crazy things. Attach weapons everywhere, and yeah, they go in for a lot of that kind of stuff. And they have really, really weird rules about innovation. They want to innovate and come up with new technology, but it has to be within the proper boundaries of their religion. You can't just go and do any kind of crazy experiment you want. It has to be approved and not step on anyone's toes. So then, of course, you get a lot of stories about people who go rogue and try things that they're not supposed to, and whether that, usually comes to something good. But because you have this trope of sort of lost technology, they're always, always, always on the hunt for things that humans used to have access to that they no longer do. Why does this piece not fit right here? The other side fit perfectly. This side fits not at all. And that's why you get the memes about tech priests finding totally does not fit there. Finding like ancient technology and trying to activate it and see what happens, because that'd be cool. And they love to play with toasters. Yeah, the whole machine spirit thing is interesting, and I somebody wants more bagel. The machine spirit though, they're so inconsistent with how they talk about it. sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's actually cool. It's like there is some sort of, yeah, some sort of AI, but sometimes it's just like, no, this bolter is angry today. It's like, well, there's no AI in a bolter, but everything mechanical has some sort of a spirit to it. Um, as I think Zardoz mentioned earlier, so there are these templates, these technological things. Essentially, it's like 3D printing, but in the future. So they're always trying to find these like the designs for machines that, again, that old humans back when they were more technologically able used to have access to. So if you can find it, then we can start cranking out these new uh, whatever it is. It can be war machines. It could be buildings. They're STC. Is that right? I always forget the. I always mix up the STCs and yeah, and something else. There's another sci-fi setting that has a similar abbreviation for something. But yeah, so they're always on the lookout for those. It's always a big deal when they find one, because then they can. It's like a quantum leap in production. Because as soon as they find an STC, they can immediately start mass producing whatever it's for. So it's a big deal. They have a ton, just an absolute ton of ranks within their organization. They're very obsessed with titles and hierarchies and that sort of thing. They're also super secretive. It's basically a giant cult, and the higher up you go in the system, the more knowledge you have access to, which is arguably not necessarily a good thing, but that's how it goes. They control almost all of the technology in the Imperium, so even space marines. So if a space marine wants to learn how to fly one of their aircraft, well, that space marine gets shipped off to Mars to do essentially an advanced studies course and has to be inducted into the rites of Mars and becomes a tech marine who can operate some of this advanced technology and pilot it, and then they get special red armor to honor Mars, and it's a whole bunch of crap like that. They have their own language. They speak in binary, or in, what are they called? Binharic. I don't know. I don't know exactly how you would pronounce that. It's I don't know if it's binaric, but they tend to they'll it the books describe it as being really annoying sounding, and it I can imagine, but it's like they screech out this machine code. Yeah, and often when they're under duress or just nervous, it'll come screeching out of their speaker mouths and things. They do have a lot of their own weapons of war. They have cyborgs that are designed for fighting. They have robots. And again, yes, there is a big prohibition against machines that think like a man, which they totally got from Dune. Although they do have robots with some degree of autonomy. They also use a lot of servitors, just like the rest of the Imperium does. So it's basically lobotomized humans attached to machines, which is always super gross. And yeah. Yeah, Eridan's over the years there have been plenty of named characters in the Adeptus Mechanicus. There's usually it's only like the ones who are really in charge are the important ones. Although you do have people like, I mean, going back to the heresy, there was Arcan Land, who was more of a more of like an adventurer, explorer. He was basically like he's like the Indiana Jones, because he would actively go out and try to find these technologies and things that he could add, and he was a little bit more flamboyant, also more human than a lot of other ones. Darrow says, guess what? What? Tell me. Why does this piece not fit very well? Did I not trim something off all the way? I can do better. I can do better. That's true. Arcane Land is not the nicest fellow. But he was good at what he did. Oh, Darrow, that's awesome. Hey, just a couple months late, but better late than never. Well, good. I'm glad for you. Now you'll have a fun new project to work on. Of course, in the current Warhammer 40k universe, the most famous Adeptus Mechanicus member is Belisarius Cawl, who in secret has been working for 10,000 years, or nearly, to create the Primaris Marines and help with Guilliman coming back and designing a ton of new technology, which is arguably cool or not cool, depending on who you talk to. Yeah, I mean, there's a trend, especially in the fiction, that again, okay, so the higher up you are in the hierarchy of the Adeptus Mechanicus, the less human you are, both in your physical body, and then even in your mind. So the more machine you are, sort of the more your personality suffers, you might say. The higher ups become very single-minded in their search for knowledge, and they don't have a lot of people skills. But what are you gonna do? And there's some of them, like I said, especially in the novels, they talk about it, and they're just absolutely grotesque with their weird cybernetic bodies. And there's one that's described as, I don't remember her. She had a designation, but the way I envisioned the descriptions, she was sort of like a centaur kind of creature, but she had all these data flasks that were attached to her like teats, and that would like clang together when she moved. It was really weird. Darrow, I don't know about that. But yeah, it's all interesting stuff for sure. Okay, so these are the little cheek spines. Put these in here. And yeah, they do have warriors, Skitarii Rangers, and all sorts of other things. And even in, like I said, even in the Horus Heresy novels, they're pretty badass. They can be, at least. Okay, I like these. I like these spiky ones. Good. All right, it fits. It fits. Yeah, the Astartes guy. I support his Patreon. I think like for $1 a month, whatever. But we hadn't heard from him in a little while, and then After the big announcement this morning, I checked my other email where I have all my Patreon stuff sent to, and there was a Patreon email from him, and it said, "Hey, so you might have noticed I've been quiet for a while. There were some things going on in the background, and this is why." So yeah, his Patreon went inactive for now, which I assume was part of the deal with Games Workshop. It's like, hey, if we're paying you to do stuff, you probably shouldn't be getting paid by other people to do stuff, to do those same things anyway. All right, so we've built these top two. So we're going to move on to this one with the really sinuous neck. So which one is that? I think it's one of these. It is this one. Again, sure would be helpful if they had numbers. But what are you going to do? I know the whole BattleTech thing. I guess I'm not against it. Yeah, I just have to be able to devote some time to learning and reading. Yeah, and so a specific branch of the Adeptus Mechanicus also deals with the giant war machines, the knights, and then the titans. So that stuff is always really interesting because it takes literal armies of people to keep the titans working and supplied and going into battle. I've talked to. I've been in the same room with Mitch a few times. I've been introduced to him. Oh, you know what? That's what it was. I interviewed him over audio back when. Oh man, what was it? When the first Shadowrun game was on Kickstarter, because I was really excited about it, and they were looking for any press they could get, and so I was like, hey, so I contacted them, and was I doing my own website at the time, or was it on figures.com? Anyway, so I did that, and like I said, I've talked to him a few times here and there, but yeah, I've never got to spend much time with him other than just like, hey, how's it going? But yeah, he seems like a cool person. I've had fun interactions with him on Twitter. Trimming. So much trimming. Yeah, he definitely seems super cool. All right, now what do you see when you look at these creatures? Because again, there's definitely a seahorse aspect to them. And then they're reptilian. It's like a dinosaur. But some of them have fur. They're usually spines or frills, but again, some of them have. They're weird. I think you see what you want to see. I only find it annoying because when I'm talking to somebody who doesn't know what these things are, and I'm trying to explain them, and they're very hard to. I have a hard time describing seekers. Yeah, these don't have those parts. Well, the fiends do. but not these little ones. Sexy featherless chocobos. No, I guess that works. It is also a absolute horrible image to put in somebody's mind. Okay. Alright, that looks like it should work. Alright, now I need cheek spines for this one, which in theory I can choose from these. Well, again, without my special symbol, I'm lost. Are they identical? No. I'm so confused. Let's try these. Let's see if these work. Yeah, anteaters, sure. They're also like, what are they in the cosmic horror stories? Like night gaunts, right? Or no, I'm sorry, not like night gaunts. Bayakis. They're very hard to describe. They have aspects of many different animals, creatures. That might be a good comparison. Give me your cheeks. Is it this way? No. This way? No. These are so tiny. No, especially when we're dealing with Slaanesh, there's no king shaming here. It's all good. Why does this not fit? Oh, it's so frustrating. Okay, I know they're supposed to be back swept spines. That clearly. It should fit. Ouch. Does this one fit? Okay, that side fits. Good. Let's do that one. Oh my goodness. Okay, there we go. Whew, finally. We have, with little kid stuff, there's songs for everything, of course, to remember. And we have a months of the year song. And one of our children loves the song, thinks it's hilarious. The other child hates it, gets very mad when we sing it. Oh, thank you, Darrow. I try. I do have relatively soft hands. I always worry what my hands are gonna look like, but I do. I don't bite my nails, but I do have a bad habit of, like, if I have loose skin, I'll pick at it. So I always worry what they're gonna look like on the stream. But yes, in general, I do have fairly soft, non-manual labor hands. Okay, there we go. Look at that. Success. He's got little cheek spines. I don't use much product if I'm especially dry. I think it's just like Aveeno lotion. Okay, cool. Good. He's done. Or it is done. They are done. We'll move on to this one. Oh, and that reminds me that, like I talked about this a little bit before, that in... Oop, crash right into those. In some of the more recent Warhammer novels, certain authors have done some really cool things with the Adeptus Mechanicus, sort of re-envisioning how they talk to each other and how they think about one another, and they've gotten to add in some really interesting... I don't know if I guess I'd classify it as representation, although that's kind of a weird word to use for these super inhuman characters in a really weird world. But hold on. Just gonna let that go for a minute. Yeah, so hold on, folks. Everything will be fine. Like I said, I wish I could, yeah, that's, as ever, it's exactly right. And of course they're tired because everybody was up at 4:30 this morning because the kids don't sleep through the night anymore. Awful. Yes. So one of the authors, and I wish I could remember who they were. You could look it up if you really want to find out. But one of the authors had a story about an Adeptus Mechanicus character who was non-binary, and used their own set of pronouns, and just had it in the book. I don't remember exactly what the pronouns were. I don't know if they were... I think it was was it Z? I'm not sure exactly. But that was interesting. And it's sort of helped kick off a new way of looking at the Adeptus Mechanicus characters. And then we started getting some more information about how when two AdMech people meet, they blast code at each other that includes their identity, who they are, their designation, what their job is, and also essentially their pronouns. Now, oh man, did some people freak the you-know-what out at this development. Oh, the SJWs have gotten into my Warhammer. What is this garbage? All that kind of crap. The more enlightened people were like, oh, this is super cool and makes a ton of sense. And then we got some really great memes. If you've ever seen these, it has like the tech priest face, and it's one of those things where it's a progression of thoughts and how they get more enlightened, you might say. And the first one says, we have to be gender binary or something, and then it goes on to say, we're humans who live on Mars, worship technology, strip away our humanity as much as possible. Why the hell would we have genders at all, or why would we be restricted to two genders? And the bottom, I think usually they added the bottom one. It's like the most smiley character is I removed my genitals and replaced them with a neutron laser. Well, that's an interesting customized emote. I haven't seen that one before. Add a little bandana. It's cute. Yeah. So anyway, But I think it's a cool idea because yeah, if you are literally replacing your humanity with machines and you have all of these crazy body types and parts that you can use, and you have almost no connection to baseline humanity anymore. Why would why would why would gender work the same or be important at all? I would imagine most tech priests would be non-binary, at least as far as as we consider it. Certainly I would assume that most of them would be asexual, again, at least. But yeah. So anyway, like I said, it's certainly interesting to talk about, and I like that some of the authors have dabbled, dipped their toe into some of these topics in more recent works. Hopefully, they'll continue. All right, this one has really weird chin parts or cheek parts. Oh man, that little one he is raging. Yeah, I mean, I get pronouns are important sometimes for shorthand, if not as descriptor. But yeah, I see what you mean though. Wow, that is quite the tantrum happening in the other part of the house. I don't know how much of that you can still hear. Okay, cool. That's number 4. These guys are adorable. These creatures. I want to put it down and touch their chin, their cheeks too much. Okay, good. Good, 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 good. Now we need one more, and it looks like this one. Yes. Okay. Yeah, and that's fair. And it's in some points, fiction and science fiction can be informative as to learning other points of views and things like that. Uh, yeah, I suppose you all are, to some degree, used to hearing children screaming, at least in the background of my stream. Uh, I apologize, but at the same time, there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. It is life. If it were a normal world, these kids would sometimes be out of the house, going to school and such things, but not currently. Ooh, the current plan is that public schools here, public schools for little ones, K through 5th grade, I think, they are going to reopen at the end of this month for just like for stupid, for for no good reasons and not for the actual benefit of the children. But they are going to reopen, not for full days either, just for like an hour in the morning or some garbage like that. We will not be participating in that program. We're not doing anything out of the house until everyone's vaccinated. It is optional. They sent out a survey. When this starts, would you be interested in doing this hybrid learning? And I basically wrote, hell no. We will continue with distance learning for the rest of this school year. Which again, there's not that much left to it anyway. And you're gonna uproot everyone's schedules and plans. Now again, we have the extreme fortune and benefit of having two parents at home, both working from home. We have flexibility. Not everybody has that. I certainly understand, but that's our decision. So you will continue to hear children in the background for the foreseeable future. That's what that amounts to. Man, I can't wait till we can get that vaccine, but it's gonna be a while. For us, at least. We are very low priority. I mean, I feel like I'm a high priority person, but what are you gonna do? Oh, I kind of feel bad for which company was it that was working with Sayama of Astartes and was producing the parts so you can make your own Space Marines from the Astartes series. I assume they're going to have to stop doing that now that that's an official in-universe Warhammer owned design. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Was it Cromlech or was it? It was one of the companies. They were making the shoulder pads and the torsos. Pandar, welcome. How's it going, Pandar? Pandar, who got some thoughts from Mama Verde yesterday. Yeah, exactly, Zardoz. Those will be gone. Oh, Darrow, that's cool. Yeah, lighting is so important, and you can often overlook it, and then you try to do a hobby project, and you're like, oh my god, I have no lights and terrible lighting in this room, and I can't see shit. Yeah, I unfortunately I have that issue in my house. Oh, and here's something. So a few years ago, we put in a bunch of recessed lighting. It was like a big project. We saved a whole bunch of money for it. This this place came with, well, when we moved in, it had no recessed lighting, and it was very dark. The way the house is set up, it doesn't get a ton of natural lighting. So we put in a bunch of recessed lighting, and we got like the state of the art LED cans, and they were all like guaranteed to work for decades or whatever. Those fucking things are failing us one after another. They flicker, they dim, the color changes. So God forbid you're trying to do any sort of photography. Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun. And so our kitchen table that we use for like literally everything in our lives, and where I used to do hobbying, yeah, there's now the lighting there is even worse because the LEDs above it are going bad. So that's annoying. So yeah, when considering where you're going to do your hobbies, definitely think about the lighting situation. Here in the toy room, like I said, we have these big LED lights, which are honestly, I have trouble with them with photography. The color the color balance on them is weird, and it doesn't, my camera at least, it doesn't like the color balance with certain colors of subjects in the pictures. But it works okay for streaming. It's a little blown out, but yeah, I know, right? I could definitely use a tech priest to come in here and consult, yeah, soothe the machine spirits of my lights. And, hey, look at that. 5 sexy chocobos. I like those chins with the little spikes, little horns almost. Okay, so we finished that page. Yeah, oh man, the lighting grid they put in at Hyper, which I only got to enjoy for what did they finish that like 2 weeks before the quarantine started last year? Yeah. Although they have over at the studio, they have not on the studio floor, but the floor with the kitchen that has like this massive window that gets such great light for a lot of the day. Yeah, so they when they shoot stuff, that's where they would do like the I don't know what it was called at that point. Was it Hyper Heroes? I think it was Hyper Heroes at that point. But yeah, they would shoot some of that stuff up there during the day, and yeah, the lighting there was just awesome. Okay, so we have our 5 steeds built, and then it looks like we just pop out 5 bodies and just slam them on. Yeah, exactly. We had just started doing the Blood Bowl over there. This looks cool. So you just pop the 5 bodies on, and then you can create these special characters: the Heart Seeker, the Icon Bear, the Hornblower, and then the rest of them are just regular Seekers, and you can mix and match all the parts, just like we did with the Daemonettes themselves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good to go. And yeah, you see we got a bunch of claws, a bunch of heads. That's cool. Yeah, exactly. Some of the stuff that they would shoot upstairs at the studio. Maybe I'll be back at that studio one day. You never know. At some point, I guess I gotta get the new Blood Bowl and learn the new edition. Man, I had just taught everybody the last one. Ow. God dang it. Very spiky and pokey, these models. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. 5 bodies. Are they moving again? Is that a thing? Oh no. Uh-oh. Blitzbolt, yeah. Oh, so I haven't kept up with all the news, but apparently there's there's a new Blood Bowl book that I don't know if it's out or if it's coming out, but it has a new format for playing regular Blood Bowl called I want to say my friend told me about it who works for the local comic book store. Oh, and it's that's unfortunate. Jeez. Man, they've had such bad luck with stuff like that over the last few years. I think it's called Sevens. Does anybody know? Anybody heard of this? But it's essentially a slightly smaller scale, but it's still regular Blood Bowl. But you have fewer players on the pitch, and the rules are a little bit more simplified. It's something like that. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't read about it. I just heard from, like I said, my friend who works at the local comic book store. But he even told me he said this might be good for for future stuff at Hyper, and I said, oh, that sounds really cool. And it's helpful too because I didn't realize that yes, you can buy when you buy a Blood Bowl team box, you get an entire team in a box, but you don't get all of the options. For instance, a human team can have 4 blitzers, but the box only gives you 2. So it's that kind of thing. Like you don't have all of the stuff. Erden says that our friends over at Hyper have to move. And they have, I don't know if they have something lined up or, yeah, that's a bummer. Moving sucks. Man, I can't even imagine what goes on with moving something like that. Their setup is so intense. I also can't imagine moving during the pandemic. It's gotta be a nightmare. Yeah, Zardoz, exactly. Oh, cool, Pandar. I'll let them know. They'll be there next week. Get it all cleared out. They look stressed. I can only imagine. Yeah, yeah. We decided we're just never moving again. Like doesn't matter. Just it's not gonna happen. All right. I've got 5 bodies. I've got 5 steeds. I've got 5 bases. Ooh, I should probably glue the steeds to the bases before I put on the bodies, just to get the angles right. Oh, I didn't hear about that. I didn't hear about Adam. Interesting. Wow. Very interesting. Well, I mean, hey, you know what? Things change. People get different situations, and hey, Minty Squids, how's it going? Yeah, it might. All the social media. It sounds stupid to say, but Twitter is my favorite. But these days, I don't really go through my feed all that much. I just go there and look at news and trending garbage topics and just doom scroll stuff. But yeah. And I think and Twitter has learned that I want to see a lot of political news, so I get mostly that. How does this guy balance? Such a little foot. Oh, Erdensk, I see. I see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't recommend Twitter. It's just Facebook is just all old people, and I've had to remove so many people just for being terrible human beings. And I don't get I know I sound so freaking old, but I just don't get Instagram. I don't enjoy it. I try to go on there and post every once in a while just to have some kind of presence there. And I'm not on TikTok at all. Yeah, Dara, I've seen some of the Japanese hobbyists. That's some really cool stuff. But there are some genuinely like witty things going on Twitter. I like that kind of stuff. Yeah. Oh, Minty Squids, that must be cool. Yeah, I envy I envy people who can just cut it out, just go without it. Because yeah, we don't need it. It's not good for us. Yeah, part of me, Pandar, part of me is trying to stay off of TikTok because I could probably get engrossed in it. I know there's all sorts of different groups who do things on there. I know there are political people on TikTok and social commentary and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't need that right now. I don't need another thing to doom scroll at 3:30 in the morning when my kids are waking up and I'm trying to go to bed. Oh, yeah, I have zero interest in the sea shanty thing. I know it exists. And look, I'm happy for people who are into that. No, all right, Pandar. Well, that doesn't sound so bad. Okay, so these are the kind of models that have feet that stick in various directions, and their bodies obviously are really sinuous. So you don't want to. You want to spend a little bit of care when it comes to miniatures. What I've heard a lot of people talk about is you sort of want to look for the midsection of the model's body. So if it's a Space Marine, you want to look for the hips generally, and you want to try to center that in the base as much as possible. It's kind of a good rule of thumb. So you'll see like this guy, he's kind of all over the place. But I tried to get the body at least a little bit. He's also at such an angle. I don't want to do it too far over because then the head is going to be way off to the side. So I kind of split the difference there. Yeah. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Just it's more for storage and like packing things up to move them around. Minty Squiz, your mom is on TikTok. That's awesome. Ooh, programming memes. Sounds spicy. It's so great that every community now has memes. They're great classist classicists and like mythology memes. So good. TikTok customer support is I I feel like I'm not surprised that TikTok customer support is terrible. That seems appropriate somehow. Yeah, because I know that some of the political YouTubers that I watch are on TikTok and apparently have, like hundreds of thousands of followers. And I know that there are comic book people on TikTok, and I don't know. One day I'll probably wander over there. I may have signed up for an account that I just never used. I don't know. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, there are a lot of really great D&D memes these days. Uh, I, I follow or I'm subscribed, however it works on Twitter, to like the topics, which seems like a good system, but it doesn't, or it seems like it could be a good system, but it's not really implemented all that well. But one of them, so I always see. I think there's a. Is it a Twitter account? Is it called D&D memes or something like that? But I often see that, and there's some genuinely funny things coming out of there. Of course, these days, also really interesting to see the backlash against Dungeons and Dragons specifically, and all the people who are like, no, 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 D&D is really toxic, and the game is garbage for for this reason or that reason. Do other fantasy games and listen to other creators. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, then that's probably the one I've seen. Okay, those are on base. You are 100%. Every fandom is toxic. Yes. They don't all start that way, but for some goddamn reason, they all seem to end up that way. Okay, so these bodies are very, very similar. They're not identical, but they're so similar. I think I'm just gonna just glue them on at random. I know that makes me a terrible person. I should be looking to individualize every aspect of every model. The Norsemeat fan. I don't know. I got some real weirdos out there. No, you all are great. I appreciate each and every one of you who comes and shares these days with me. Cool. So there is a body on a seeker on a base. Pretty exciting. Yeah, it varies. It definitely varies. There's gatekeeping is definitely like a major part of issues with fandoms. What's the term for it? When you like possessiveness, however, whatever the actual term for this, just like it. This is mine. Uh, every aspect of this has to cater to my desires. If I see something in my fandom that isn't for me, it's the end of the world. I know that all that it's like tangential to gatekeeping. That's oh man, I that stuff really bugs me. And Star Wars and Star Trek are such good examples of that. It's like there's if you are lucky enough to be into a fandom that has a ton of entitlement, that's good. Uh, if you're lucky enough to let's put it this way, there are so many great cool things out there where there's just like a couple of novels and that's it, and you're never going to get anything else, and you're way into those novels and you reread them over and over again, but you're like, man, it would be cool if there was a TV show one day, but there's never going to be, and that's it. That's all you get. But then, we're so lucky to have these sprawling things. Obviously, like the big two in comic books, and you know what Star Wars has become, and Star Trek to a different degree. And like we're so lucky to get so much content, and for people to be such assholes when there are parts of that content that they don't like, but other people do. Like not every word, not every shot of everything has to be just for you. Let other people enjoy it. Yeah, that stuff drives me crazy. Ooh, this body does not fit super well on this saddle. Huh. That one's better. Okay. And again, I think a really good example of what I'm talking about is going on these days with Star Trek, and it really bums me out because I'm a really big Star Trek fan, and for some reason, a lot of Star Trek fans have just decided that the new stuff is just it's bad, it's evil, it's terrible, it's all the worst things they've ever made. It's like, look, you can not like something, that's fine, but there are definitely people who do like it, and that's also fine. And if it's bringing more people into the fandom, hey, you know what? They'll discover the parts that you like, and they'll like that too, and that'll get more attention. And the whole thing will get more attention overall. And it'll make more money, and then they'll make more of everything. The creators know. They know that you like, the old stuff, and they'll make more stuff, that's based on that. But yeah, the 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 some of the bullshit outrage against things like the Discovery show, it is so freaking toxic. Again, if you don't like the show, that's fine. But don't but the people who complain about it just because it's, you know, well, I mean, let's be honest. There are lots of people who complain about that show because it has a lot of women in it, and they're not all white, and you know, stuff like that. And they make all these ridiculous statements about why they don't like it. It's all just garbage, and they rail about it. They make entire Twitter accounts about Discovery sucks and this and that, and they have all these conspiracy theories about how poor it's doing. And come on, in the streaming era, we don't know how any shows are doing. We don't know the numbers. We don't know the ratings of anything. It doesn't matter anymore. Companies just tell us that the show is good, the show is doing well, and we just believe it. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Yeah, ugh, all that stuff is gross. And again, I love Star Trek. I don't love every single bit of media Star Trek has put out over the years. I didn't love Picard. I'm excited to see what they do in the second season. But did I love the first season? No, it was okay. I didn't love it. Lower Decks, didn't love that one. It was cute. I loved some of the references, some of the stuff they stuck in there, but it was just okay. I really like Discovery. I'm very excited for Stranger Worlds. I think that's the name of it. The upcoming Pike and Spock show. I'm super excited about that one. Yes, Minty Squids. Oh man, Rick and Morty is such a good example of what we're talking about here. There's some really, really good YouTube videos about the Rick and Morty phenomenon and I wish I could remember the account name. There's somebody who does like media, talking about media on YouTube, and did something all about Rick and Morty, and it was like an hour long episode, and it was about the idea of text and meta text. And it's like, okay, what does the actual text of the show tell us versus what you infer to be the meaning of the show? And if the text of the show is saying that, like, so everybody's thing about Rick and Morty is, okay, look, you know, Rick is, yeah, he's a jerk, but he secretly means well, and you know, like, he does learn and he is sad inside. But if the actual text of the show, if what the show is actually telling you is that no, he is always right, his criticisms of other people always turn out to be true, and you know, then it's not what you like. You can read into something, but that's not what the show is actually telling you. Anyway, like I said, it was a really good analysis that way. You know, Erdinsk, it's not as dumb as it might seem at first glance. There's some actually really interesting stories, and a lot of things are really well connected, but it also does have a lot of like really dumb, goofy humor that is certainly not for everybody. Ooh, Wisecrack, I don't know that one. Cool. Well, look, we have 5 Seekers with bodies of Daemonettes riding them, so we're definitely on our way. But that is going to do it for me today. Yeah, Pandar, that whole thing was just an insane debacle. People are going to be writing books about that in the future. It's going to be required reading for media studies. I have so much to say about HBO Max. I'm sorry. Did you all hear about the Snyder Cut leak that happened over this past weekend? Just ridiculous. What is that? I have to imagine that was calculated and not just a pure accident. I don't know. It's so bizarre. I don't know if you all heard, but people on HBO Max who went to play the Tom and Jerry movie, it turned on the Snyder cut, and I think they got to watch like 2 hours of it. I think the goddamn thing is 4 hours long. So it was. So yeah, I don't know. It seems like that might have been a a thing they did on purpose, just to keep raising awareness and keep people talking about it. Who knows? Oh, Snyder Cut, man, that's a whole big topic we'll talk about in the future. Ooh, the misadventures of I have not heard of that, Pandar. I'll have to check it out. Yeah, like I said, I'm plowing my way through Banshee, which is a very fun show. Very silly. Again, the premise is just absolutely stupid, but but it's very entertaining. Lots of sex and violence in that show, and that's great. Oh, thank you. I do ramble on for good long times between taking drinks. Okay, so I'm gonna be done with those for today. Come back to these future episodes. I should be able to finish these seekers the next time we are together, and then I'll start on this chariot, which I gotta be honest, it's a little daunting. It has all of these like crazy blade wheels that just have a billion parts, especially without numbers. Well, these look, there are numbers for this kit. Well, why didn't they have it for the other one? Annoying. Excuse me. Yeah, Aerodance. I sort of stopped all of my CW watching when Arrow ended. Not because Arrow ended. It was just that was like a convenient time to take a break from a lot of the TV that I was watching regularly. So one of these days I'll have to catch up on Flash and that. Black Cavalier. That's a very good question. And I swear on my children's lives, this is the absolute truth. One day, many moons ago, I woke up in the morning, and I sat up in bed, and I said Norse meat. The name literally came to me in a dream, and I woke up with the name, and I thought, I need to do something with this. And so it just became, and I don't have a band or anything like that, so it just became my online name. It doesn't mean anything. It just, it literally came to me in a dream. Yeah, I don't, it doesn't mean anything. Somebody on Jessica's stream. Oh no, it was Positive Mom yesterday on Jessica's stream asked me if I was in any way Nordic, and I said nope, not in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. Right, I know. Yeah, Norse Meat's mom. Sadly, she had nothing to do with it. But yeah, it's a silly story for a silly name. But yeah, it is definitely interesting to find out where people got their screen names and their online personas. Yeah, I mean, look, I do like Norse mythology, so it does fit in well with that. But no, it literally doesn't mean anything. It just was a funny thing. Speaking of mythology, if you're around later on today, 3 p.m. Pacific, I'll be on the Pete Wiz channel. We'll be doing myths and video games. I actually don't know what we're doing today. 2 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago we did like halfway through the game Jotun, which is Norse mythology. Last week we did Storytime, which was super fun. We just picked out some interesting stories. I read from a dusty classics textbook about werewolves in ancient Greek mythology, which was interesting. And yeah, so like I said, I don't know what we're gonna do today, but it'll be fun and entertaining. So if you're around, check it out. Otherwise, tomorrow I am off for Thursday, and I will be back on Friday. I've got, like I said, I have 2 major reviews that I'm working on. I gotta finish them. The Robotech miniatures game, and then Peg Junk. Thank you so much for that resubscription. 10 months. Look at that. I love it. So I've got the Robotech miniatures game review, which again I can't really talk about too much until the actual review goes up, and then a big HeroClix review for the upcoming Wonder Woman set, which they just revealed all of the figures in the set last night. Pictures of them, not their dials, and oh my god! First of all, it's one of the biggest sets ever. There are 12 chase figures, 1 chase per brick of 10 boosters, and there are 12 of them. And among the super rares and chases of the set are a ton of lantern characters, green lanterns, red lanterns, yellow lanterns, all these lanterns. I need them. I need them all. Yeah. So, anyway, working on that. And, yeah. So, thank you, everybody, so much. And I'm going to go work on those. Try to get those done. Maybe both of them by Friday. I don't know. Yeah. Have a great middle of the week, everybody. And I'll see you later. Okay. Goodbye.